coming into this philosophy on life that is just everything with intention, because when I was younger and experimenting with psychedelics, I was very rarely done with any intention, and sometimes you would stumble upon some big insights or some big mind expanding situations, but you could also stumble into some really, really painful, really scary situations that ended up shutting you down, which happened to me. And I think it really stunted some of my growth early on because it was a negative experience.
What
But
were you on? Acid or shrooms?
it was mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Mushrooms
And
did you in?
yeah, for years.
So
Yeah.
how many did you take when that happened to where you kind of withdrew from it, I guess?
Hard to remember because it was all a bit of a blur, but I think it was somewhere upwards of 8 grams.
Damn!
Yeah, it was too much. It was too much.
So wait, well, what happened? What was your experience like?
Well, I had eaten like an eighth, and then was having a really great time. Having a wild experience, and then somebody asked to see the type of them, and I had the rest in this like film canister, and I dumped them out on the stove top, and he took a look at them. He's like, "Oh, cool, these are sweet. They were Cubenzis or something." And then I was so high, I couldn't really get them back in the film canister. So I was like, "Okay, I'll just eat the rest of them." So I ate another eighth, and then
Before you continue, were you already aware how strong the mushrooms are, though?
no, not really. I mean, these were pretty potent mushrooms. I hadn't really had a ton of experience going far on them
Gotcha.
before. I'd
Okay.
certainly eaten never more than an eighth.
All right.
And again, this is just like a night that went without intention. We were initially going to go out to a rave. And this is back when raves were all underground, all pretty, you had to know where they were. Usually, if you bought tickets, you'd get the directions the day of at like a record store or something. You have to call a hotline. They'd give you directions that you go into the woods. And this one apparently gotten busted. So I'd eaten the mushrooms before, and we started driving out. Found out it was busted and shut down. So then we just went back to a friend's apartment, and this is when this whole thing occurred. So this is no set and setting. This is no intention, just getting real high for the sake of to get high. I was the only one who had eaten them that early, and so everybody else decided we're not going to take any psychedelics tonight because this thing isn't happening. So so then I dump out of the stove, eat the second eighth, which was really stupid. And then I'm a teenager. I go back to my parents' house and then crash out, lay down for a little bit, get back up, go over to a friend's house, and I'm just absolutely flying at this time, having a lovely time. And we smoke a joint, and as soon as that hit me, it just went real south. It turned into a really, really bad trip. Really, really bad, terrifying. Saw death, the whole thing.
Wow.
And then after that, I was just, I never quite came back down the same way. I was really paranoid. Definitely had a lot of hypochondria afterwards.
How old were you?
17, I think, 16 or 17.
Do you think your age has something to do with your paranoia? Like, if you had that trip now, do you think you'd be able to go about it differently?
I definitely have more tools to deal with that type of thing now,
Right.
and more experience. So
if you had that trip now, though, do you think it would, I don't want to say shut you down. Do you think it would make you pause again?
probably not in the same way.
Right.
But also I wouldn't be in the same situation because I know how important set and setting is,
Right. Yeah.
and how important intention is. So I learned a lot of lessons from that, but it took years to be able to integrate those lessons, because instantly it was just like, that was a bad trip, don't ever do that again. I was getting kind of the wrong lessons from it, lessons from fear rather than lessons from love, which I think is one of the gifts of psychedelics.
Were the lessons coming from friends, or that was downloaded into you?
The lessons were, I shut down. So I wasn't listening to, my friends just thought it was a bad trip and I had a, psychotic break or something, and they weren't helpful at all. The friend that I smoked a joint with, like, he saw me starting to unravel, and I could just remember his face so specifically. He just turned into this like creepy owl man, and his eyes were huge, and he was just staring at me with this like kind of disgusted look on his face, and he was just like, "Don't have a bad trip, man."
Oh God!
And I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And I had to bail out of there. You know, got back home, locked myself up in the room, vomited quite a bit, threw up glitter and bicycles and like isosceles triangles, and was having this really wild experience, and I thought I was dying, and I was like, nah, maybe I should go wake my parents up and see if they'll take me to the hospital. And then I was like, I would rather die than disappoint them. So I went back into my room and I laid down, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna die now. So I was waiting for death.
That's so funny. You don't think they'd be more disappointed walking into your room seeing a dead body?
You're not thinking clearly in this situation.
I know, it's still funny though.
So I lay back and look at the ceiling, and all of the matter of the universe kind of collapses in on itself into these series of black holes.
Right.
And those black holes consumed all of the matter in the universe, and there was 9 of them in this grid, like 3 by 3 black holes, and that's all that existed in the universe. And those black holes started like rocking back and forth in unison, and they turned into the silhouette of 9 doves. And so there's these 9 doves silhouettes rocking back and forth, and then I became pretty clear that was just another fabric of reality, and it wasn't that it was all of the matter in the universe, but it was itself a piece of fabric. And so I looked closer, and I could see that it was almost like a curtain, and then these bony fingers reached out and pulled the curtain back, and then death was behind the curtain.
Wow.
And he started reaching out for me, and then I just like panicked, jumped up, splashed water in my face, was just trying desperately to get any way to come back in reality. And the thing that was setting me off a lot was I kept trying to bring things in to ground me, right, which is, I feel like, what happens a lot when you feel like you're too far gone on a psychedelic. You want anything to ground you in something that's familiar. Right. And I turned on some music. I remember I was trying to listen to Jimi Hendrix or something, but one of the things on really high doses of mushrooms that you experience, besides just visual hallucinations, is auditory hallucinations. Yeah. And synesthesia and things like that. And so my auditory hallucinations were sounding really intense. So like if I was listening to the music, it sounded something like this. I was hearing every other like that. Mm-hmm. And that was like just terrifying for whatever reason in that state. Right. So we went on a very unexpected tangent talking about this bad trip here, but that is just to bring it back to our point, is I think that everything is so important to have the right set and setting, to have a safe space, and then have the ability to integrate those lessons afterwards. Because if you don't, you can come up with probably, in some cases, the wrong lessons that shut you down sometimes, in my case, for years, that I think I missed out on a lot of years of just like happier, less stressful living, because I had just anxiety and paranoia and hypochondria for years.
I can't imagine you being like that. Yeah,
it took a long time to work on that.
Yeah.
Is our universe real?
It's just ideas.
I mean, what is the reality of real life now?
The cosmic delicate balance.